Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning back into my channel. So today's episode is going to be super quick, very easy. We are going to make the toolbox for your tool gnome. So if you want to know how to make it, stay tuned. Okay, so the tools list. You are going to need a tape measure, a pen, a pair of needle nose pliers, something to cut with. I'm going to use a little miter box. You don't have to. You can use wood snips. I'm just going to be using a knife and a miter box. You are going to need some kind of long-term glue. I'm going to use the wood glue. You're going to need something to tint the wood with. I'm going to use antique finishing wax, whatever you want to use, paint, whatever you're going to want to use to color your wood. You're going to need hot glue and your vessel to address it. Okay, so you are going to need one of these tongue depressors that you can get at Home Depot. Comes in a pack of 30. Just need one. You'll need some tools. I got these off of AliExpress. You can also get them at Hobby Lobby, but then that comes with the toolbox. But if you don't have an option to be able to go to a Hobby Lobby, you can order these off of AliExpress. I'll leave the link down below. You'll need some felt. I have brown. You'll need a little bit of styrofoam. I got little pieces. And then you will need your pattern. So the bottom of the box is 40 millimeters long. The sides, and you'll need two of those, are 36 millimeters. And the sides, and you'll need two of them, are 38 millimeters or 1.49 inches by 26 millimeters or 1.02 inches. If you need this on a picture, I will leave a link down below to a group on Facebook where you can actually get the numbers of this pattern. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tongue depressor, hold on to my tape measure, but I'm going to take my pattern, and if you don't have the pattern, you can just take the measurements and actually use the ruler to do it. But since I have my pattern, what I'm going to do is set my pattern on top of it and mark it off. Mark my first one. And then mark the other side because I want both ends. Then I'm going to take my little miter box. And if you want this miter box, I'll leave a link down below to the Amazon page that I got it at. Actually, my husband got it for me. He's like, as much wood cutting you do. I would be in my craft room, but it's a mess and we're doing remodeling and it's just me and my husband, so it takes us a bit of time. So the outside of our house is first and then the inside. Okay, so both sides are cut. Clean that off. Then you're going to take your bottom piece and you're going to cut your bottom piece. And again, if you don't have the pattern, the measurement is 40 millimeters for it. 40. I do it in millimeters only because it's such a small amount, and it's a lot more precise in millimeter than it would be in inches. So if you get one of these squares, one's at the Dollar Tree, one side has inches, the other side has millimeters. Alright, so I got my mark. Alright, so the last piece is you'll need two sides, and the length is 38 millimeters by 1.02 inches, or 26 millimeters. And that little piece is garbage. Don't try to save it for anything, it's too small. And then you're going to want some sandpaper if you want to sand it. Alright, so now all of our pieces are now cut. And what we are going to do is put it together. So let me get this piece of wood off of here and then we'll put it together. Alright, okay, so you have your hot glue, extra hot glue, and then some kind of permanent. I'm using wood glue. And I'm also going to be using a paper clip to add it on there because you want a real thin layer. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your side rounded pieces and you're going to attach it to the bottom. You're going to put the side piece on top of the bottom, and so you want to get it to the edge. Okay, so you'll put a little bit of hot glue on the bottom. And then a little bit of wood glue to make it, or E6000 to make it permanent. And then squish it together. You got to hold it for a little bit so that the hot glue kind of cools and helps it, because it's going to be kind of flimsy until you get the sides put on. Alright, so the sides are now on, or the ends, and now we're going to put the sides on. And they're going to go just like the other ones on the edge. They're going to fit on the outside. Do the same thing to the other side. Let that wood glue or whatever glue you're going to use dry completely before you move to the next step. So once it's all dry, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so for time purposes, I'm going to assume this is now dry. So I'm going to take my antiquing wax, and I'll actually put some in the lid. I've had this thing for probably a year and a half now, and I still have like that much. Get yourself an old rag. As you can see, I've used it a few times. Get a little bit of antiquing wax on there and just rub it on, and then rub it off. You just want a thin layer, because the thicker it is, the longer it takes to dry. And I learned this when I made my wagons for Christmas. I absolutely put too much antiquing wax on. It took 4 days to dry. That is crazy. I learned my lesson. So I just do like a small amount, and then I rub it off. I did not know that I needed to rub as much of it off as I could. And then, can't find my original spot. That's okay. Start over with a new one. And then just go all the way around. Now, you don't have to rub it off right away. You can leave it on for a bit. My husband actually likes mine. My toolbox is better than the one from Hobby Lobby. He says it looks more rustic. I call it homemade. And you might ask, why do I not do this first, then put it together? Because the glue does not want to stick to the wax. Alright, so the inside you're going to put styrofoam, so I really wouldn't worry about getting all up inside there, which is another good thing about using the styrofoam. So next, you'll take your piece of styrofoam, and I have just little pieces from leftover from when I make shoes, and you'll take your template or your measurement, and remember you wanted 40 millimeters, right? And this thing is just about perfect. So measure it a little small, okay? Because remember, you don't have, when you made it, it's a little bit small. It's a little bit smaller once you glue it together. So I usually cut it smaller. And then, of course, that's way too tall. You make the decision on how shallow you want to make this. And then I clean up the edges. Do a little dry fit when you know how much smaller you need to go. Don't squish it down there. You won't get it out. Trust me. Don't ask me how I know this. Then you'll take your felt, measure slightly. Now remember, you want your foam to be a little bit smaller. You will wrap this around, not all the way, just the top and sides, and then cut it off. No measurement on this, just slightly larger is the rule of thumb. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the corners with my glue, with my old trusty hot glue. And if you guys want to know whether this is a good glue gun, it is good for larger projects, but if you want to do something very precise, I would recommend the Shore Bonder Precise Hot Glue Gun, because it's got a real precise tip. And this doesn't, it has got a wide tip on it. Alright guys, we're in the home stretch. Alright, so we got this piece here all glued. Stick it in there. Sink it down real good. Okay, all the way to the bottom. You can glue it in if you want to. I just choose not to. Alright, so now you have a little toolbox. Looks like a bed. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick your little tools. And again, the link to this is down below to AliExpress. So I am going to pick which ones I'm going to put into the toolbox. So I'm going to pick the hammer, the wrench, the screwdriver. I probably should just put them all because there's 6 of them. So what you do is you cut a hole in the felt, and your choice of what you want to do. I would use a craft knife personally, but I don't have one out here in my living room. So I'm just going to poke a little hole. See the little hole? And I'll take my needle nose pliers and punch a hole in the styrofoam as far down as you can get it to go, because you want to get the tool in there as deep as you possibly can. So now you have a hole, and you take your tool and you push it down inside the hole, and you can glue it in. Alright, so there you go. I don't have mine glued in, so if I tip it too far, they'll actually fall out. But you'll want to glue them in and then put yourself a little leather strap, and there is your little toolbox. Alright guys, built a little toolbox. Wasn't hard. Actually was pretty quick. So, if you have any suggestions or requests, go ahead and send a comment down below, and if I can make it, I'll do my best. So guys, thanks for tuning in, and if you made it this far, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. That way you'll get notified each time I upload one of these tutorials, and it's totally free. It just lets YouTube know that you like my content and that you want me to continue to make these videos. So if you want me to continue to make these gnome videos and these tutorials, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and until next time, bye!